going to advance this bill out of the Senate Banking Committee this month. We're going to get it on the Senate floor. We have 4 working weeks, I believe, in June in the Senate. We'll be able to advance that legislation, get a floor vote, and then provide enough time for the House to pass it. We're targeting July 4th. I think that would be a tremendous birthday present for America, celebrating our 250th.
For the first time since the approval of the spot Bitcoin ETFs back in January 2024, the digital asset industry is staring at something even bigger than institutional adoption: a full-scale legal framework for crypto in the United States that now appears to have momentum from almost every direction imaginable. Patrick Witt, executive director of the President's Council of Advisors for Digital Assets, just revealed that the Trump administration is targeting July 4th for a signed Clarity Act, calling it a tremendous birthday present for America, celebrating our 250th. What makes this moment different is that the support no longer appears isolated to one political party or one side of the financial industry. A brand new Harris-X national survey of over 2,000 registered voters found strong bipartisan support for American leadership in digital finance, alongside majority support for passing the Clarity Act itself. Republicans are on board. A growing number of Democrats are on board. Major banking executives are now openly discussing stablecoins and tokenized finance. The crypto industry has spent years lobbying for regulatory clarity, and now even American voters are signaling they want clear federal rules instead of endless legal confusion. But despite the optimism, the legislation still has to survive several critical steps before it reaches the president's desk. The Senate Banking Committee must complete markup negotiations. The bill then moves toward a Senate floor vote expected sometime in June, followed by House approval before finally reaching presidential assent. The Clarity Act is designed to define regulatory jurisdiction, establish clearer market structure rules, reduce uncertainty for crypto companies, and potentially unlock a massive new wave of institutional participation that has been sitting on the sidelines waiting for legal certainty. And at the exact same time this legislation is accelerating through Washington, the White House is also preparing a major update on the United States Strategic Bitcoin Reserve. In other words, 2 of the most important regulatory developments in crypto history may now be moving forward simultaneously. So in today's video, we're going to break down the latest behind-the-scenes updates on the Clarity Act, the growing political pressure to get this bill passed quickly, the new hurdles still threatening the timeline, and why Wall Street firms are now trying so hard to get into the digital asset space. If you enjoy macro, crypto policy, and market-moving updates like this, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you never miss the next update. Thanks, and enjoy the video. Crypto journalist Eleanor Terrett, who has closely followed the regulatory battle surrounding digital assets in Washington for years, recently posted one of the most important updates yet on the status of the Clarity Act. She wrote, "Scoop. The Senate Banking Committee is preparing to notice a markup for the Clarity Act as soon as Friday, and has circulated draft legislative text to select industry members ahead of a potential Thursday vote." According to multiple industry sources who have seen the text, the language is reportedly still being finalized, with additional edits expected to reflect priorities from Democratic offices. The market structure battle surrounding crypto has dragged on for years, largely because both parties could never fully agree on oversight, securities definitions, or agency jurisdiction. But now the pressure to finally produce legislation appears overwhelming. At the same time, there are still obstacles that could potentially complicate the timeline. One of the biggest sticking points involves demands from House Democrats for an ethics provision to be included directly in the legislation before markup support is finalized. According to reports, some Democrats are considering withholding support unless those provisions are formally inserted into the Senate banking text. Republicans, meanwhile, argue that there are jurisdictional complications surrounding those additions. But despite the disagreement, there's a growing sense across Washington that neither side wants to be blamed for derailing what is rapidly becoming one of the most politically supported crypto initiatives ever attempted in the United States. The shift now happening on Wall Street may be one of the clearest signs yet that traditional finance no longer sees crypto as a temporary trend. According to a recent report from Bloomberg, major financial institutions are now aggressively expanding their digital asset divisions, with dozens of crypto-related job openings suddenly appearing across firms like JPMorgan and BlackRock. After years of skepticism, regulatory caution, and in some cases outright hostility toward Bitcoin, Wall Street now appears to be preparing for full-scale integration into the digital asset economy. And importantly, this hiring wave is happening before the Clarity Act has even officially passed. In other words, many of these firms are positioning themselves now because they believe regulatory certainty is finally approaching. For some longtime Bitcoin purists, that idea still feels uncomfortable. There's a section of the crypto industry that believes institutional finance entering Bitcoin somehow corrupts the original vision of decentralization. But according to Jack Mallers, that reaction completely misunderstands what Bitcoin was designed to become in the first place.
A few things. One, if Wall Street getting into Bitcoin kills it, it was never going to be successful in the first place.
Yeah.
Bitcoin's, in my opinion, is predicated on this idea that it is money for all. And the all part should be explored. That means your enemies too. That means, the ex-wife that cheated on you. That means your neighbor that's a fan of the opposing football club. Like, that's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That means nation states that are your enemies, nation states you're at war with. That means for all. And the philosophical idea for me is that money is property and is a fundamental right. Again, it's your time and energy in an abstracted form. And if that responsibility is ever delegated to a person or a government or a company, they can debase the money, they can debase you. And so I think that needs to be an independent property that has property rights. And so, yeah, anyone should be able to get into Bitcoin, and Bitcoin should succeed no matter their intentions or their usage. And if that's not the case, then we built and designed a product that is flawed. And so I don't believe that to be the case. And I believe that Iran and Russia and China and the United States and Wall Street and cypherpunks can all use this thing and work on this thing, and it's going to succeed no matter what. And that's still my foundational belief. And then the other point is, listen, Bitcoin is a wealth transfer. It's arguably the greatest wealth transfer in human history. We are actively monetizing a new thing. And what I mean by monetizing is, the world is the total ownership of assets of things by humans today is about $900 trillion. Half of that is we're using it as money. So, $900 trillion is made up of currency and government debt and real estate and equities and precious metals like gold and Bitcoin and fine art and all the stuff that we have. Okay. And about half of it, so $400 to $500 trillion worth, we're monetizing. So people are owning real estate, not because they sleep in it, not because they live in it, but because they're trying to save money. People own art, not because it's hanging on the kitchen wall where their toddler can throw spaghetti at it and ruin it, but it's in a vault. So like Ken Griffin's art is in a vault, and he's storing it because he paid $10 million for a painting and he thinks it'll be worth at least $10 million in the future. And so humans are actively trying to monetize things that perform best for them in a monetary sense. And Bitcoin is competing for that. It's actively being monetized. But what that implies is that where wealth exists today will transfer into where wealth is going tomorrow. And in our opinion, collectively, it's Bitcoin. So that means Wall Street and art collectors and real estate portfolio managers, like what's the two brothers, the Cardone?
Oh, yeah, Grant Cardone.
I don't know much about them, but they seem to be real estate guys that are turning that wealth. They've monetized real estate and now they're monetizing Bitcoin. So it has, like, our vision has the implication that where wealth exists today, those things will be demonetized. Like real estate will be demonetized, fine art will be demonetized, government debt will be demonetized, and Bitcoin will be monetized. So it has the obvious implication that these people will be involved at some point. So I find it a little contradictory that like people are like, Bitcoin's going to be the money, but like, why is Wall Street interested in that? It's like, well, I mean, I don't know if that's a serious question. Everything's good for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin can change the world because the world can't change Bitcoin. So it's all good for Bitcoin, in my opinion. When the US government prints money, it's good for Bitcoin. When the US government tries not to print money and things collapse, it's good for Bitcoin. When people are at peace, it's good for Bitcoin. When people are at war, somehow it's good for Bitcoin. Because Bitcoin is good for the world, because the world can't change Bitcoin. Some of the greatest innovations in human history are innovations that protect us humans from the worst versions of ourselves. And Bitcoin is one of those. It's engineered in a way that it can't bend to accommodate the worst versions of ourselves because we're not perfect. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we all have flaws, and us as a species collectively have flaws. If we were perfect, we wouldn't be murdering each other while we disagree. But Bitcoin somehow was engineered in such a way that it can't bend to accommodate our flaws. We have to become better to accommodate Bitcoin. And so everything's good for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin can change the world because we can't change it. So again, it's a really beautiful ride. It's volatile, it's bumpy, it's vulnerable, it's scary, it's euphoric. But like I said earlier, these are all useful emotion. But I've come to peace with it and just hope to contribute positively to it.
Buy $10,000 of Bitcoin on a regular exchange. It grows to $60,000. That $50,000 profit? You could owe $10,000 or more in capital gains tax. Now do the same trade inside a Roth IRA with iTrustCapital. That growth? Tax-free. You keep the full $50,000. Same crypto. Completely different outcome. iTrustCapital lets you hold crypto in a self-directed IRA, trade 24/7, and secure your assets with institutional-grade custody. You can also hold gold, silver, and stake certain assets. Real U.S. customer support. $100 bonus when you fund through the link below. In crypto, structure beats timing. Every time. In the second half of the interview, Maller zooms out completely from Washington politics and Wall Street adoption to focus on what he believes is the much bigger story driving Bitcoin long-term, the structural weakness of the global fiat system itself. Rising geopolitical tensions, energy inflation, unsustainable debt levels, weakening labor markets, and the impossible position now facing central banks. And according to Mallers, all of those forces are beginning to collide at the exact same time.
As far as the macro stuff, I've been very consistent. I don't think this conflict's ending anytime soon. I don't think the Strait is opening anytime soon. To me, this is an accelerator towards this inevitable, which is a lot of currency debasement, monetizing of the debt, things like yield curve control. Ultimately, the United States has been short real things, producing real stuff, and long credit, debt, and paper. And there's a repricing of what that means. You cannot build AI infrastructure with silver futures contracts. You need the actual silver, right? You cannot finance the military with infinite amounts of U.S. treasuries. At the end of the day, you need actual productive humans because people will stop lending you money. They'll say, okay, if you want me to finance the next $2 trillion of U.S. shenanigans, you're going to have to pay me 10%, 20% 10-year yield, not 4%. And that's where you get yield curve control and the Fed printing money and monetizing that debt. So I think this is all an accelerant. The notion that the Strait is about to open or the conflict's about to close. It's been, over 2 months at this point. That doesn't seem very likely. And it feels to me that a chapter of fiat has reached this inevitable conclusion, and things are going to get real. We have stagflation. What do you do if you're a central planner? One side is new job creation is struggling tremendously. A lot of economic activity in certain parts of the economy are struggling and slowing down. What if unemployment rises to scary rates? So one part, there's economy stagnating. On the other part, you have inflation. Danny, what I think is if people aren't appreciating is the last time we turned on the money bazooka printer was COVID, right? Well, remember during COVID, oil was negative $40 a barrel.
You got paid to take oil.
Right. You would get money if you could receive physical oil.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now oil's 100, I don't know. I'd have to check my phone. $100 a barrel, $120 a barrel, $150 a barrel. You want to print money into that? we're already experiencing at least commodity inflation, at least energy inflation, at least oil inflation. And we know that that is the tip of the iceberg. That inflation will now realize itself. The world as we know it is a derivative of energy. Like I said, the world as we know it is a derivative of energy from the sun. That's our experience as humans. This big orange thing beams energy onto us, and we found ways to commercialize it and benefit our lives from it. So everything's a derivative of energy. If the price of oil is going to go up, well, then all of a sudden your food prices are going to go up, your rent's going to go up, your travel's going to go up. So you want to print money into that? No way. But if you raise rates into that to try and tame inflation, then the deflationary force of AI is only going to grow stronger. It's going to it's going to send unemployment to rates that are uneconomical for such an indebted system. So yeah, I mean, this is just an accelerant to this inevitable which way Western man. In my opinion, which, as we talked about, is good for Bitcoin.
When you put all of this together, the Accelerating Clarity Act negotiations, bipartisan political support, Wall Street rapidly hiring for crypto expansion, and growing fears surrounding debt, inflation, and fiat instability, it becomes easier to understand why so many investors believe the next phase of Bitcoin adoption could look completely different from anything we've seen before. This is no longer just a niche technology story. It's becoming a macro story, a political story, a sovereign strategy story, and increasingly, a global financial system story. But now I want to hear from you guys. Do you believe Wall Street entering Bitcoin strengthens the network and accelerates adoption? Or do you think institutional finance eventually threatens the original vision of crypto? And do you think the Clarity Act actually gets signed by July 4th, like Patrick Witt suggested? Let me know down in the comments below, because I really want to hear where you stand on this. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on post notifications so you never miss the next major crypto and macro update. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.